Can't tell if it's working. So, I wanted to share something with all the beautiful people out there in YouTube land, and it's on how to find a husband. So, I was speaking with a gentleman tonight who wanted to go exclusive and become boyfriend girlfriend. And for a variety of reasons, I didn't think this was wise. And I was, trying to navigate that whole thing. And one of the things that I did was I asked him to speak to an elder in my church. And when I brought this up, that this would be a requirement for me to be an exclusive to him and to be his girlfriend, then he backed out. And I think it's very, very clever because men can be slick and bamboozle women, right? It's something, it's not even malicious. It's just what it is. It's life, right? Men spend time learning to speak to women, Um, but a man then having to talk his way through or around another man, I think is very difficult for them, and I think it's not generally expected. And so when I told this man that I enjoy our friendship, that if he'd like to be exclusive with me, that he would have to go through the elder of my church, or one of the elders in my church, um, he panicked. I think because of that reason. It's one thing to say anything you'd like to a woman, and it's quite another to have to use all of your lines to a man and have him be like, yeah, this sounds good. Women can be bamboozled by the glitz and glamour of emotions or this, that, or the other. That isn't to say men aren't bamboozled either. Um, but having to try and use all those tactics on a man your senior and trying to convince him to have access to one of the daughters of the church, I think is rather hard. I think it's difficult. And so he backed out. And I think that's I think that's really great. Traditionally, I think this is something that isn't new. I think it's new in our implement, but I don't think this has traditionally been the case, right? In my grandparents' time, men would have to ask the woman's father, right, for permission to be exclusive with her. Um, I don't have a father that participates in my life, and even if he did, he's not a believer, and he wouldn't have the wisdom to be able to properly suss things out, and put the kibosh on things. He would just totally base it off of money. Like my father is a lot of things. He's a good provider. But I think he would purely just whoever had the most money. Well, that would have to be the best husband, and even if it's not, like at least he has a lot of money. Like, um, so I've spoken to one of the elders in my church, not a church that I attend to anymore, however, but one I have traditionally gone to, and who's the husband of my personal mentor. And so this is something that's been pre-agreed to, but not something I've actually ever leaned on. And I think this is great. I think for women who have faithless fathers or absent fathers, you know, I don't think that all is lost. If you have a brother, great. But I would say an older man. I think that an older man presents far more of a challenge than a peer would. I think he would also have far more discernment on whether or not it's a good match. I think an older gentleman could see now what it would take us to see, far off in the distance. We'd have to get a little bit closer. And I think that an older gentleman might be able to say, even if this guy is good, that doesn't mean that he would be a good husband to you. You guys are going in different directions. Um, that's to include men who are eligible and who do love God. They might not be their lives, God might be calling them in a different direction than He's calling you. Um, but if you're not careful with guarding your heart and you've developed an emotional attachment to this man, then of course everything's going to work out. But an elder within your church might be able to say, I don't think so. I think this is good. This isn't really new, but I think that we should bring it back. I think that you should approach your father if you have a father and he's a blood bought believer. I think you should approach him and ask him to protect you and to do this service and to be a gatekeeper, and that there should be a guard at the gate. And if you don't have a father, first of all, I'm very sorry, deeply sorry. Or if your father is a failure, I'm also sorry. But we have a Father in heaven who is better than 100 earthly fathers. He's perfect, and He loves you perfectly, and He's the ultimate gatekeeper. Gatekeeper, I speak English most of the time, sometimes. And He will provide for you within the church. So there's a man somewhere who can stand in the gap and be your sword and your shield as you seek out a good godly match. And I think the Bible supports this because there's wisdom found in the multitude of counsel. So that's all I had to say. I think that you should be wise, and I think you should have counsel. And I think that if that counsel is an elderly man, all the better. So, best of luck. Bye.